Who are you? Who are you?
That's love.
That's
the
me.
family.
That's really,
That's
this
the
is
love.
your family's job.
Yes.
Your family's job is to keep you humble.
And they seem
This
like
is
they're
true.
doing a great
They're
job.
very good. Here,
Not
my
reading your
nephew, I'll
books.
tell you the story about my nephew Sam. Talk about keep you humble. One year I was lucky enough to win the Nickelodeon.
I don't know what that stupid bell is. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was lucky enough to win the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award as Author of the Year. And it really meant a lot to me because 52 million kids had voted. So it was pretty exciting. And my nephew Sam was like 9 years old, lives in New Jersey, and he was a Nickelodeon freak. He loved Nickelodeon. He loved all the shows. And I called him up and I said, Sam, how would you like to fly out to LA with me and be at the Nickelodeon Awards? And he said, oh no, if I knew you were going, I would have voted for you.
Just keeping you humble. They're just trying to help.
That's right. He voted for Shel Silverstein. I took him to LA anyway, but I left him there.
And then named an evil twin after him.
Yeah, then I named the evil twin.
Do you look forward, with all the new ebooks and enhanced ebooks and connections on the internet, is that exciting for you as another way to kind of take your books forward?
Yes, it is. And I'm all for, I love it. Because it's all about books. People are reading. People who buy Kindles and Nooks, reading on iPads, they're all reading. It's a great thing. And I don't care what people read. I love books myself. There's nothing like a book. But also, Kindle, you take it everywhere. You put 1,000 books on it, and wherever you go, you've got your books. And it's exciting. I'm all for it. It gets people reading, I think.
They even did a movie book trailer for the new book. If you get a chance, go out and look at the book trailer because it's absolutely fantastic.
For Red Rain?
For Red Rain.
Oh yeah, it's very creepy.
It's really
very
creepy and
trailer.
really good.
Right. No, but I believe in all that stuff. It hasn't really affected kids yet. You don't see kids walking around with Kindles. It hasn't affected children's publishing at all. Very little.
Very little.
Well, iPads are $500,
right.
So parents aren't going to be buying them for the kids so quickly.
I think there's certain things like where they're enhancing it or doing stuff on the internet to take the experience of the kid's book further out than just the book. I think that's pretty interesting, exciting. Scholastic, your children's publisher, is doing a lot of that.
Yeah, they are.
This is a little inside baseball, I guess, but you worked with at least 4 different publishers: Harper, Scholastic.
Oh, I publish with everybody.
Everybody.
They all get tired of me eventually, and so I move on somewhere else.
Is that exciting to move from house to house?
Yes.
Or it gives you a whole new opportunity?
Yeah, well, for a children's author, it's always good to have two publishers. Then they compete against each other. And I don't think anyone's interested in this, but that's I always found it to be a good thing. And I just, I'd have different ideas. It would be better. I did, a series for Random House, and then I did a bunch of books for Harper. And mostly I worked at Scholastic. I was an editor at Scholastic for 16 years. I worked there a long time. No one ever told me I could go home and make a living. I thought I had to work for a living. No, and then finally, actually, I got fired. I was fired by Scholastic, and I went home, and then we sold them Goosebumps, and it was a nice thing.
Now, that person who fired you, were you able to go in and say, I want them gone?
It was a friend of mine.
Oh.
It's a shame. It's a long story. But
things happen.
Yeah, right.
So I was in the home of another very famous horror writer, and he had actually set up almost library shelving to keep all the copies of his books and the translations of his books. How do you keep all your books at home?
It's hard because I live in an apartment. It's very hard.
Are you able to put most of them up?
I have an office in my apartment that I share with my dog. It's her room too. And I have, a lot of atmosphere. I have a human-sized skeleton, and I have some ventriloquist dummies. I have a dummy of myself, little mini, it's kind of creepy. And then, you know, it has a lot of shelves. So I have all the books I've written. I have all the Goosebumps, all the Fear Street. I have them all up. But I don't have foreign translations, and I don't have a place for that. You can't do it when you live in an apartment.
Yeah.
I don't have a place to save them all.
You'd have to go into like your summer home or something like that.
Yes, right.
It feels to me, and again, you might disagree, that there's kind of a snobbery against kids' books, against people who write series, or people who write genre type of fiction. Do you understand why that is? Do you worry about it? Do you care
I don't
about
worry.
it?
No, I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But yes, there definitely is. I think there's a prejudice, and I'm not whining here,
Right.
but there's a prejudice against people who write a lot of books. Because, you know, that's why I never went on the Letterman show. Because I knew I'd come out and he'd say, "Oh, you wrote 200 books? How good could those be?" 200 books. And I think there's a real feeling of, you know, if you're very prolific. Joyce Carol Oates.
I was just thinking the same thing. I
Well,
said, they don't go after Joyce Carol
Yes, they
Oates.
do.
Oh, they do.
Because, yeah, any review of a Joyce Carol Oates, she's written a lot of books. She's very prolific. You cannot read a review of her books without them mentioning, "Oh, she's written so many books." You can't.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean,
True.
that's exactly
And
the
there
same
is
author
a
I
feeling
follow.
that genre writing isn't like real literature, But I don't care.
And
I mean, you write to entertain people.
right, and
and,
it's phenomenal
you know,
storytelling.
And
Not anyone
people
can do it.
people love thrillers and mystery. Look at the bestseller list. It's mostly thrillers and mystery. People love them.
So
I'm in this organization called the International Thriller Writers. And we have a Thriller Writers Convention every summer in New York. 400 thriller writers in one room.
wow.
It's pretty scary, right? And we have panel discussions, we have a big banquet, and all the panel discussions are, what's the difference between a thriller and a mystery?
Oh, we used to,
And that's all we talk about endlessly. Of course,
What is the
it's
difference?
ridiculous. What? Yeah, what is the difference? Well, I was just on a panel with Sandra Brown and Steve Barry the other night, and someone said, "Well, what's the difference between a thriller and a mystery?" And Steve said, "About $100,000." That's the best answer.
that's actually probably the answer.
That's the best answer I ever heard.
Now, you're writing books all the time, and you travel around. What is your dream vacation when you can just get away from all of it? What is it
I
that you
can't.
love
I
to
take
do?
a lot of vacations. But, you know, I love to write, and it's very hard for me to go very long. Someone asked me, "How long can you go without writing?" And I said, 10 days maybe 2 weeks. And he said, "Well, you see, it's an addiction. It's a disease. It's an addiction." And I never thought of it that way, but I think that's true. I take a lot of beach vacations. I like to just lie on the beach and read and snorkel and that. And I love big, crazy places. I'm sort of like I love Disney World. I'd love to live in Disney World.
So would I.
I'd like to live there. I love that kind of thing. We go to Atlantis a lot. Have you ever been to Atlantis?
I've been to Atlanta. That's
Huge, crazy,
place.
5,000 people. I love that. I love that.
See all
But we
the-
travel a lot. I've been so lucky with Goosebumps and everything. I've had some amazing trips because of it. Just wonderful things I never would have done. We had a wonderful book tour in Australia and got to snorkel on the Barrier Reef and hang out in Sydney for a while. And then recently I did a 5-city book tour in China. That was just amazing. All these the Chinese kids are all beautiful. The kids are all beautiful. I don't know what they do with the ugly ones. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they send them to Taiwan or something.
They don't let them come to book autograph
Oh my
days.
God. And they love reading, they love books. There were thousands. You go, the bookstores, you would love this. The bookstores, this one bookstore in Shanghai, I'm not exaggerating, the size of a Walmart.
Oh my God.
And it was a bookstore. And it was filled with people reading. Filled. They love it. I had the best